I'll do it. You have your meeting to get ready for. Right, even one reason not to go to coffee meeting for the years. Good team. The purpose of them.
The red ones, you know, that it's they do the. So we know that they're even graduate. Not like 18, who's getting oriented there. I don't know, that's but. You know, I got it in the JV for. You know, people. Oh, wait, here.
Grab your stuff.
You didn't?
Let me see, okay, this is the agenda. Oh, you already did this. Sweet.
I don't know, but. You know, being very solid in this town. And, you know, our staffs, the type of calls and working orders, things like that. I think the director was getting a little nervous. I do. He wow.
To me, those are perks that balance some of it off, and here you've got 5 or 6 people, but there's no assigned seating. You've got 5 or 6 people that don't have, you know, jobs lined up. It's like, why not?
There was a lot of people. There must have been. 35? 35 cadets,
Cadets, yeah,
and they were all very attentive and they stood up and they would say Cadet Hill. And then they would ask their question,
yeah,
and you know, at first it was a little awkward, and I introduced him,
yeah,
and then he started, and he just. Focused and flowed.
yeah,
I mean, I was interested,
yeah, good.
talked about the LPRs just because we're.
Yeah, oh, yeah, those are the toys that
It
we
was
brag
fun.
about.
I looked up my car this morning as a test to see, and I'm like, there it is. Because you know your license plate, so. He did
Okay.
really good,
Yeah,
but yeah, they had good questions, and then, after, you know, we look at the different salaries and,
This is being recorded, just so you.
that's okay.
Yeah, it's done.
Thank you.
but thanks for telling us,
Yeah.
yeah. Oh, sorry, but
They just vary, they vary so much.
No, I can, I'm just making sure all the documents that we need to clear. Just shut up.
it's all right, everybody gets in here, yeah, yeah.
But those were the oops.
Oh, I figured.
But thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is supposed to be a label.
So-
Definitely.
We had,
And
the
I
updated interview. policy.
Been on your, I'm sorry.
Okay, so was this the change one?
It's the change
Like
one.
the- your phone, not like-
Oh, yeah, that's
I
fine.
do have one offering.
Yeah.
This is.
But I'm so quick to hit print,
License.
and if I don't hear anything, I'll
I'm
say.
sorry, give us some time to get it focused on that. Yeah,
I have the lexical quotes,
okay,
minutes, and agenda.
okay.
Are we just? No, I think that's good.
I have no problem.
Get my email.
I did, and I just figured we'd go over it.
Yeah.
I think it is a lowercase, because I was surprised by that, and I looked on one of her emails and it's a little out.
Oh, okay.
But, and then, yeah, I saw that, you're right, and then.
And then,
What did I say?
second, this one, it's good for your.
Oh, well, we're.
Now we-
Oh, is that what it went to?
Just get the rest of this.
Sorry, this proposal will be discussed.
Oh, May. Is this full with all the words?
No, there's a couple extra.
Do you need an agenda? I should have an extra one up there. Here.
Yeah, because then it makes sense here, they do imitators, yeah, they pull their little numbers, yeah,
Yeah, there's an extra.
yeah.
And then.
Oh, John. Don't forget, after this.
Yeah,
I
I
got
just don't,
two
didn't, no.
games.
Yeah, I don't, and I don't.
And there's-
So it's like this. All right.
Oh, I mean, my
Oh,
gosh.
so it's not like this is stupid.
I've seen it both ways. I've seen it on the real estate sign of West Coast. But then on her email, it's not. So I figured.
Oh, okay, yeah, and I don't,
She probably.
yeah.
Did I leave my glasses in the phone?
This has been my whole life. Just looking for stuff.
We have a hard stop, right?
Yeah.
Hey,
This is like Janice here. Pretty good.
Thanks.
yeah. You have 2 dogs?
What's this?
Oh, well, I'm
This is
just
like-
like a puppy.
Yeah.
Thank you, but
Yeah.
you know, my
Yeah.
Glasses.
Yeah, technically it's my house.
Just walk it back.
But I'm there. I'm the one that takes care of them all and everything, so, yeah.
They like it better.
Like with the bedroom doors are open, they always there on the alarm.
Yeah.
Fine. And Jenny.
Oh, I was gonna say, they're both the same.
Security.
Thank you.
Did this change from the last time, Rich? Was it the same?
It has changed.
Okay.
I didn't put red on it, I should have, and I didn't, but here's what it looked like before. And-
I mean,
I
I
will-
got the old one, I just didn't know if I needed to.
Okay.
I'm something that you don't fit for me about something and I said, you know, the later.
What was it?
Get on that for something that you can before that, but I noticed a lot of people, well, I should say a lot of people. I noticed two people that, 130 dumping their household trash, I built. Now, there's not signs there.
Okay.
They have larger trash cans that aren't like the other municipal trash.
But it doesn't have a sign.
It doesn't have a sign that says no household trash.
That's a.
And it's hard, we're in the park, yeah.
Brenda.
And I almost, I wouldn't say anything if the room hadn't been a jerk of dogs. You're walking through the dog park,
Yeah.
shutting the trash off.
Okay.
And, you wanna make a stink without the dogs. But yeah, it was a couple of small bags, I'm guessing it was a couple of small bags of trash. One was, I think, we should hear, and this is what it's like, and I was just like, oh. No.
Oh. Not on my glasses, but I have an app. I had them 2 minutes ago.
Are they downstairs?
I'm looking.
Thanks for doing that.
I'm
Oh,
like dropping sunglasses, just don't spend a lot on them, cause I'm gonna put some. I don't think.
I don't, and I'm. I'm gonna text Ron, I don't know if he's,
Yeah,
I called the other day and I. Didn't think he-
I'll text Karen.
Okay, I'll do Ron, I like Ron better. Also, definitely.
Yes, it's something.
So it's good.
If I see him doing it now, it's not supposed to, then I call it. Getting these things, you might show. It's a she, so I don't do that.
Yeah. Probably coming, but I don't know. Happened for reading all the trivia. Did it declare she's coming or not? So what was?
Start. All right. It is 3:01, Friday, August 9th, and we're going to start our Georgetown Administrative Policy Review Committee. Would you do a roll call for us, Jim?
Mary Sims here, Rick Rognan,
Here.
Bruce Shank here, Mary Smith here. Absent, at the moment is Rob Hall and Carrie Ann.
All right, on our agenda, do we start with this out of order? We've already done that. Agenda approval, so is there a motion to approve today's agenda?
Do we wanna change the order of it and handle some of it well?
Yeah, somebody, I think we ended up just taking it from the last one, so
Okay,
legal update, we could probably scratch that.
right,
Process, we can scratch that. We'll do interview, license plate readers if we have time, we'll bump lexical to 1,
yeah.
okay,
Hi,
alright.
sorry.
Alright, so we'll do, please, I mean, the lexical first. Number 2 will be the interview process. And then 3 will be the police license plate reading. Hello. Alright, is there any other feedback before we call for a vote?
So I'm going to approve the agenda as amended.
Second.
We've got a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Seeing none. All the ayes say aye. Any opposed? Okay, passes. First on our here is minutes approval. Have you guys had a chance to look at this? And if so, do we have a motion to
I did
amend?
a couple of small corrections to,
Yeah, I was listed twice, so I'll delete the first time, and then Carrie Ann, do you have? Is the first H in your capitalized?
You know, the Irish way would say, yeah.
So that's how you do it, okay. Wasn't sure.
so today she's Irish.
Okay.
I'm Irish. We'll go with that.
And then on the second page, Mary suggested under process of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5th bullet. To change will be to may.
The minutes, you don't have a. Do we have extra minutes?
I was gonna look at it while you were reading, but
Well, then you can look at it.
we'll look at it together. Okay, we're following.
So I'll make a motion to approve the meeting minutes as corrected.
Second.
Is there any further discussion? No, all in favor say aye. Any opposed? Seeing none, ayes have it. All right, next is. I guess we'll go through our work session. Number 1 is Lexipol demo, Lexipol, you should have a contract. And I'll have Mary, because Mary and I both went through and did. Like a follow-up conversation with, I forgot his name,
Right.
Ray. And so I'll let you kind of give an update to the board.
So, two of the questions that we had at our last meeting was to confirm the list that they provided to us, and there was some question about the highlighted ones. So those are all, the entire list is their client list in Colorado. The highlighted ones refer to the universities or colleges, campus police, and for some reason,
That difference.
they separate that in their mind or in his mind, and so that's why they were highlighted. So however many were on that list, those are all the departments in the state of Colorado that contract with Lexipol for police policies, that was one. The other question was there any pricing difference because of, we're in this limbo stage with officers, but because our department is planned to be the size that it is, pricing wouldn't change. So bottom line, that I think you just cleaned up the proposal, and that's what we have here with the contract. Some of the other points that we made, we were clarifying that extended package, that $11,000 or $12,000 package that you guys saw. And he said, bad salesman on his point, but he really didn't feel that that was necessary for our department because he's gonna be we contract with Lexipol, they would be working with the chief and the department. There's gonna be so much communication to go through those policies. And then with the policy review committee, the way it's set up with the town, that he doesn't recommend taking that $11,000 or $12,000 implementation policy. That the lesser package, the 2,800 or whatever, was something that was going to hang on. And that's all I could do, because now we don't have to do about that.
Yay.
I'm trying to think if there was anything else that we really.
I think just to highlight, the plan is that they would be working directly with the police chief. And they would take, I wanna say 15 hours, 1 hour out of the time per month or something, and just kind of work with you guys. Or maybe it's less, it's like 15 hours that they would put into this, to talk to you, to kind of review things, to make sure that this is kind of shaped to what we're needing. They know we're a small department. What was the cutoff between population? It's like 1 to 3 officers, it's still the same price, but once you go past 3, then the price.
Yeah, we would fit in whether we had 2 officers or whether we had 4 officers,
Yeah.
we're fitting into the same price line.
Yeah,
So when they set up, they initially allocate 15 hours to work with the department, to work with the chief. And call it off.
yeah.
There it is. Hi, Rob.
Wait,
You're in my seat. What are you doing in my seat?
here, come over here. Come on. You'll be fine.
I can't.
Hi.
You were at one of my properties, were you?
Yes,
We'll talk later.
So they allocated approximately 15 hours to work with you so that you're looking at policies and you're selecting the policies that are pertinent to our department. And, there's access to however many policies they have that we want. I had a question because somewhere along the line, it's indicated something about 50 policies. And it's like, he said for the amount of, we gave him a copy of the table of contents from the police manual. And he said with the policies, looking at just that rough list, he feels that the 15 hours, especially since it's just more of a one-on-one or one-on-two kind of conversation, that would be adequate to implement the manual, the policy manual for our town, for our department. So his recommendation, and that he's always available to, this guy, right, sales guy, sometimes the sales guys have more than some of the people that in other facets of the organization, and that he obviously could be helpful in addition to the point person that you would have with Lexipol. Our big push with, the conversation and Ray, the sales guy, let's say, he said it's great to work with the kind of like the end part of the whole contract situation with the town. Because otherwise, if you guys, the two of you set out the conversation, you've gathered all this information, you have to come to the board, you have to justify, you have to propose, you have to do all this. So now all of a sudden, just because the policy is rolled out, a lot of that's been cut out, it's kind of a, you know, I don't wanna say a done deal, it's not, it isn't a done deal, but Lexipol already knows that the board and the town and hopefully the department is embracing this idea, we're closer to rolling with it. So he's there more as far as the negotiations and the contracts and stuff like that. And we're kind of past that, you know, we're not asking you to come to us and justify it even more because we're all on board with that, even, you know, just with this basic information. So,
I'm familiar with Lexipol, I like Lexipol, I've suggested Lexipol in the past, but I like it, I understand it. And it's a great asset and resource for the department and, with the added, feature of updating this policy, if case law down the road changes something goes in a different direction and it's updated. We're sent that update, so we take it and we make the comparison. And we go with that, it's much easier than saying, okay, how much case law has been passed down through let's say the last 4 years. And we go to each policy to say, oh, yeah, case law here, it's absolutely a time saver. Insulates the agency, the town from liability, due to outdated policy that we didn't realize was outdated. And we're acting on it and come to find out, we should have known that it was in violation of these different standards, these alternate standards, so love it.
oh, absolutely, and he even said, you know, when it rolls out, if there's an urgent policy change that needs to be made, it's gonna be flagged and you're gonna know it. Where this one is about like, you know what, you guys better be thinking about this one because you need to make some changes. But this one you better act on now, because case law just changed.
Yeah.
Courts just did this is handed down, and it saves so much more time on your part.
Yeah.
Not having to do those 4 years worth of research and compare 10 different policies, because that one little sentence in all those policies makes some reference to it. You know, we've already got, and this was the conversation that we had in our last meeting. Because they've already put legal eyes on it, sure, we're gonna continue to put legal eyes on it, you know, but knowing that that's already done, you're really proofreading it and just making sure that it says Georgetown Police, and it's, you know, our operation compared to what Denver would say. I think there was, to me, there was an extreme amount of confidence when we saw the list of how many departments they shared. And even the policies that we've started to review from, you know, the board angle, where like, how have our policies come to be? And you want to think that, oh, if you are getting some information from one of our local agencies or whatever, you know, if you're cut and pasting it and changing it to ours, the fact that at least it's coming from them is, you know, gives a little bit more confidence just because of the background that they put into it. So, you know, why haven't we done this years ago? I don't know, but let's move on and do it now.
Karen,
So I was tasked with asking the sheriff what his thoughts were, and so I just asked him. I did get his permission.
So it's fresh.
It's very fresh, and I did get his permission to verbalize to ask, you know, to tell you what he said. So I said, how do you like Lexipol? He says it's not perfect, but much better than what we had. It tracks compliance as well and imports updates from state law. It's been worth the cost for us. And he said that many of our policies were so out of date, it's been a big thing for us. So.
Make your job easier.
so the other thing that I would just add, that you kind of started saying and everything, but just reiterate, is that it goes to the chief. The chief would then be able to have 3 options. He can approve as it's written. He can amend it to be more specific for Georgetown, or he could take it before this board and say, I need you to look at this. He could take it to Jerry Dahl and say, can you confirm this? Or the last one would be denied. Like, we're not doing that. That's a weird, strange California thing that does not apply here to Georgia, or, you know, so it gives a screening very top. And like what he told us is like, 65% or so of all municipalities or jurisdictions approve it.
Hmm.
They just approve because they know there's a team of lawyers already have eyes on this stuff and they're sending this out as is, and it is regular. And they also, like you said, some of them are urgent. That they let you know of a notification versus just a regular monthly kind of thing they're coming in, so it gives you discretion of how you can tailor it to Georgetown's needs too, so I thought that was great. Kind of put the workforce.
I would just tweak that a little bit though, because by the creation of this or the recreation of this policy committee, whether it's the police department, whether it's finance, whether it's, road and bridge, your first line to review it, you've got to make sure that it's works within your operations of your department. You make whatever changes need to be made to that. Then it kind of goes through this committee to smooth it out if necessary before it goes to the board. This committee was put together so that we've got, so the community can be asking the questions for the explanation, so it's understood. So the board can be asking the questions. The staff can look at it from different lenses. And then it goes to the board and Jerry
Yes.
before it's
Process.
implemented for any policy within the town. That, we're just starting here.
And one other thing too is, if you have any questions, we have a direct line to call the guy right now. He knows we're meeting. And instead of having to wait till the next time for us to discuss, if you have a question, we can call him right now to get information. Or at least have them.
It was time that we decided to do it to implementation. What's that time frame?
Well, I want John and Kim to look at this.
Okay.
Usually this is initiated by a chief
Yeah.
for the department.
Well, I thought you guys
And-
did. I'm sorry.
Well, we haven't looked at that, I mean,
Yeah, John,
we spent our mind.
But you're familiar with it, aren't you? Flexible?
We're both familiar with Lex, I'm familiar with Lexipol.
I thought you thought.
To a certain degree.
Oh,
We shared the information with them as much information as we got for our last meeting. We shared with them when it was shared with everybody else. So it's, they're like a half a step behind us, still trying to,
Okay, let's say that you guys get up to speed and we do wanna move forward, let's just say that that's the course of action, then what is that timeline for implementation?
I think we have to kind of make a recommendation.
Gotcha, okay,
But I want,
that's an answer too, yeah.
yeah, I would say just the process. We're a little more ahead than John and Kim are. I wanna make sure that they have a chance to get up to speed.
Mhm.
And not race this to the point where feel like they're out of the loop. It's important that you have your police department agree with this. So, John, Kim, how long would it take you in order to process, to get to speed? So then this board can then make a decision, a recommendation to the board, and then the board puts their eyes on this.
Well, we have a call into the company to get, I want them to do the same training. Right, cause I wanna make sure we're on board with the updates, what they provide, within this package. To make sure it meets our needs, so we have that call in, so once we do that, then we'll be on the same page as everyone else here. And then we can say, okay, we're now on the same page, so we can all move forward with what we're doing.
so let's make sure we give you his cell number, which he gave to us yesterday, which is not the same information that was on any of the literature. And call this rep yourself and, because it. Tuesday's our board meeting, not that this is happening Tuesday. But then it's 2 weeks out from that and 2 weeks out from that and, so.
Is Ray Jones?
Yeah, so
Yeah.
his number is 203.
Do you wanna broadcast it?
Sure, 824-3746. Maybe we'll get more business for him.
I did call also, this morning,
You have to check it for the response.
since we've been on.
When we did a presentation of Red Rock State, so we haven't been, she hasn't been at the computer she did send off an email
And
and a phone call, so we just haven't checked for response.
No, it's okay, we're not trying to race this, I mean, like even expectations, he understands this is gonna take some time. And we wanna make sure that we thoroughly vetted and did our due diligence, and that this is what we all feel wanting to move forward, so there's no reason to.
So if financially it's possible to put through in 2024. And I know we're gonna have. I understand your concern. If it's possible for this to go through in 2024, the contract runs from the day we basically get it, you know, bring it on.
Right.
So if we decide to go ahead with it, say October 1st, then it's October 1st through September 30th next year. He assured us that the price would be the same for next year, so that's something that we can discuss when it comes time to budget time for it, you know, so,
He also reiterated that they also help you guys with grants too.
but there's at a fee, there's a fee involved.
Oh, a
in it.
special fee.
Yeah.
Forgot about the special fee.
Yeah,
So,
And Ms. Hill has already attended grant writing, so we're in the process of looking for grants in various areas. To try and keep expenditures down, so.
good.
and they might be able to recommend which ones to apply for. They can assist if, you know, for a fee, if,
I think they provide a list, but if you want assistance, that's when the fee comes
Right.
in, but they will let you know what.
so they might give you the information without, you know, it costing anything to do that.
Yeah, and usually you can build the fee into the break that you get too. So,
Absolutely,
you know, so it's not like you're having to have some kind of out of pocket.
right.
Unless there's a matching portion of those kind of things, but anyways, it's a great opportunity. So, you can, when you call him, he can set up a demo with you. He can go through and show you how you can learn, and it's a fascinating system. And I'm glad I don't have to live in that system, but I know you guys would. So,
They're gonna
okay.
be excited.
True.
Mary, while you're mentioning the deadlines and stuff, the proposal says it's valid through 10/23. That deadline we need to pay attention to? No.
No, he said he just threw that on.
That's just the
Yeah,
thing.
it has to be filled out when the computer's done.
We were just trying to give an expectation.
So he's willing to give us the same demo
Oh, absolutely.
and the same time that he gave you.
Correct, and the same cost. Everything's locked in right now, waiting for you guys to do your review and so forth.
We just probably have questions also.
Yeah. Alrighty. Any other questions, feedback? No? Okay. Next item on the agenda is interview process policy. So I've given you I should have redlined it and I apologize. No, you don't, you can leave it. I mean, this is now, general policy, not kids policy, so. And then the third one is license plate rule, but we could change that since we're here. Is that fine if we just change?
LPR.
Yeah,
I only think emergency with the LPR because I know that they've been installed.
It's up and
so-
running now, it is
Yeah.
up and fully running.
Right, so it would make sense if. Yeah, you know, we already have an advantage that our attorney looked at it
yes,
and for the committee to put eyes on it. And have some confidence from the community's position that, you know, we got this. You know, we got this equipment.
yeah. So, John, can you give just a brief summary of, or the board's assurance where this policy came from? I'm assuming it came from jurisdictions like this, that these are all under Lexipol themselves, and
Actually, I believe, I'm gonna say with a high degree of certainty that this came, well. I don't know if Block presented this policy, or if this came from Thornton. I wanna say, I don't think this came from Thornton, I have a copy of Thornton's, it's. I don't think this is.
No, it was part of our manual before I started there.
This is, okay, so I'm gonna. I can't honestly say, I don't wanna give somebody the wrong information. This is, however, I know a standard policy for LPRs. Retention of the information, so if we have a month's worth of, so for example, was it yesterday, that it captured 6,600 vehicles.
Jesus.
Let's say we have 6,600 vehicles, we have zero crime. Nothing that, I don't need to investigate who may have come in and stolen something, who may have come in and robbed something, burglarized. In 30 days, those license plates go away. They don't need to be retained, I haven't accessed them, I have no reason to access them. And they go away and the process starts again. Let's say that, this weekend we have, some thefts of, motors, whatever. And I look on the thing for 2 AM because it occurred between 2 and 4 AM and I see a truck that matches, that has some issue. It'll capture it, so what it does is the vehicle comes through and it highlights the license plate with a red border, so it's a red border. And that's the vehicle I'm interested in, then I can retain that data. And then I can do further additional inputs and information with that vehicle, I can enter it into the system. If that vehicle is seen in Summit County gets an alert, this vehicle was involved in theft in Georgia County. It's now alerting somebody in Summit County that it is now here, so we retain that information. It is pertinent to the furtherance of our investigation. And we're interested in that information, it gets retained. Yes, sir.
If Summit County doesn't have the LPR, can they still get that information, or is it?
So I would have to call, we didn't have the LPRs, and I've done this before, I'd call an agency that has access to the LPR system that we have now. We now have access to that system. And I'd say, hey, this license plate, do you guys see it anywhere? Has it been picked up anywhere? And they would say, yeah, this thing has been all over the metro. These are the jurisdictions it's been in. That information had to come from someone in that agency who has access to it.
Got it.
Now we have control of it. So this is standard. Yes, ma'am.
I'm an ignorant citizen that just got on this board, right? I have no idea what we're talking about.
So
I understand that it's a capturing of license plates, but I don't even have the basic what we're doing here.
so what is your question? Go from the beginning as to what.
No, just give me a brief definition of what it is, I'm assuming from your discussion here that it's been installed somewhere. Do we just have one? Do we have?
We have two. It's an automated license plate reader. We have two. They're installed on 2 light poles at the roundabout area, just outside of the roundabout. You can tell that what they are because they have 2 big solar panels, one for each camera. So you look up and you see the big solar panel, underneath there's a camera. And so it's focusing on traffic coming into town, traffic going out of town. And it's operational now, it provides data, daytime, nighttime, doesn't matter. It captures these vehicles, if it doesn't capture your license plate, so it highlights it in bold red, it has the license plate. If there's a vehicle comes into town, and a lot of them do, with no license plate, if they're gonna commit crimes. It then starts searching for some other defect in the vehicle, something noticeable, something that distinguishes that vehicle from others, and it captures that. And that is now, so now it goes into the system as this is a suspect vehicle, it's involved in theft. It goes down to some other jurisdiction and that camera system picks up this distinctive.
I mean, this is amazing. This is
Yeah.
something our community would love to know, and
Well-
we should have a marketing splash.
Well,
I mean,
We don't want everybody to know about it.
let me go forward.
That leaves out.
But here's what we're doing, let me just continue on this roll, it'll pick
Yes.
up this distinguished mark. And it'll say, oh, this vehicle is now in this jurisdiction, it'll alert that jurisdiction, it'll alert me. And what I can do is I can take my investigation, I can call that jurisdiction, do you have any thefts of this? And we can combine our efforts to resolve issues like this, it's a force multiplier. I do plan to let the public know that we have it, Ms. Hill has been in contact with the Clear Creek Current, because I'd like to do a small article to say this is what's going on in Georgetown. For me, it's both transparency, the community understands what we're doing, but it sends a message to people, don't go to Georgetown, because we're the only jurisdiction with these cameras.
Right.
Idaho Springs is looking at them, the sheriff's office is looking at them. Summit County has, I think they just ordered 30, Denver just ordered 150. So we're going to be able to solve crimes much faster. People who know this will, so, and I hate to say so, Quinn Empire, somewhere else, they'll go somewhere else to commit crime. They will not come to Georgetown. However, I don't want to say to people, this is what you're looking for on the
Yeah,
polls.
no, and I don't.
So I don't need anybody doing damage. So-
Just that they're out there and they're like, okay,
Now, we-
I wouldn't even, I mean, showing.
We also have some training from the company coming, so they can
Okay.
instruct us on how to input data, how to extrapolate data. What all we can do with this, other than what I've, announced. And then we'll be up to speed, we'll be able to really say, this is what this system is capable of doing. I'm gonna have it part of my board report for Tuesday. It won't be in depth because we haven't had that training yet. That training is probably coming Monday or Tuesday. It won't be in time, I can verbalize it if it's before Tuesday night. So, that's what we have going on. This is standard.
Thank you.
With that, in regards to the highlights.
Just because we're talking about the community relations aspect of it. And this is an investigative tool, and correct me if I'm wrong, this is an investigative tool that the police department is going to use. It's not something that flags the plate because the driver is wanted, the bells and whistles go off, and the police swoop down on that car while it's driving through town. And I'm being overly dramatic here, but some of the questions that came up when you presented to the board, well, we were also talking about the reader being in your vehicle. But this isn't that.
It's very objective.
See, I was under the impression
It
that
just
they
doesn't-
did trigger to like Amber Alerts.
So what I can do is I can program this thing, what do I want it to tell me? I am gonna program it to tell me when stolen vehicles come into town.
Absolutely.
Stolen vehicles are synonymous with one stolen vehicle coming into town, dropped off. They steal one from town, or they're coming in here to steal motorcycles, razors, burglarized buildings. That is the one common denominator I see with these type of what I call organized crimes. And that's what they are. It's racketeering. These groups are go from Denver to Texas to Mexico with their stolen property. And so stolen vehicles, I want to program it. If a stolen vehicle comes in at 2 AM, it's gonna alert my phone. A stolen vehicle just came into town. And I'm gonna get up, get dressed, and try to get some other people here and figure out where this vehicle is before it can do damage. So, yes, it can be done. The breadth of that, I don't know yet, because we're gonna get that training, to figure out what exactly.
There's 70 agencies in Colorado that have,
Oh, okay.
and we all talk to each other, which is why we chose Flock.
Fantastic, yeah.
So like just this morning logging in, I had 3 messages from Jefferson County, Chaffee County, and I think Erie, Colorado. And I'm not trained yet to accept them, but they're a hit list. So they are wanting me to accept this information to notify them when that vehicle passes in front of one of our LPRs.
Yeah, so hot vehicles on a hot list,
It's the communication tree.
yeah.
It's amazing.
Sounds effective.
Yeah, we accept the vehicles that are on a hot list, so now we get alerted when they're in town.
Got it.
It's gonna be a huge investigative tool for me.
So
And-
the Amber thing?
Amber Alert will come through, Silver Alert, whatever, before I have to say I'd have to draft a kayak report, which is a report that goes statewide to every agency. If they have an analyst, they look at these reports and they say, well, we have a similar crime, which is what happened with these razors. Douglas County called me a day or two later and said, hey, this truck is in Douglas County stealing stuff. Okay, well, what do you have? And so we start the ball rolling with Douglas County, and they went to Arapahoe. It can be much faster because usually I don't get that type of return on a kayak report. It takes about a week to get some information coming in. So that delays the process. This is instant. And we can immediately start working with these other jurisdictions. Yes, sir.
So has there ever been an instance of error, like, you know, it flat, you know, it captured a license plate and you guys pulled over a judge or something?
So that's why also in the policy, it says we want to try to verify with CCIC and CIC first. We only need reasonable suspicion to make a stop. If it hits and we stop, you know, and they're like, oh, no, it's not us. Then, you know, that's reasonable suspicion enough, but we do want to try to verify what we have. Before we make a stop, so that, you know, if something goes wrong, then it doesn't come back and say, oh, you know what, these are the wrong people. And you shouldn't have stopped to begin with, and it just went downhill from there. So that is in the policy here.
So to the concern of people thinking that people are getting picked out, like Mary was saying, that you're not just out there, you know, doing that thing. Maybe a good way to describe that is that it's much like the toll cameras. You know, they do take a picture of everybody's like, just like that, but the only ones that are getting picked out are the ones that have the membership, or the ones that don't get to, you know, and that's just.
And at night,
And at night,
They
so
work
it's kind of
And
common
they're
to
sold.
their system, right,
They're
yeah,
great.
exactly. Yeah.
So when I look up a license plate, if I have a license plate in hand and they're all, for whatever reason, let's just say this is a suspect vehicle in a theft and it doesn't hit on the system. It hasn't hit on the system, I can still do a manual search for that plate, did it come from town? And I have to justify it, so there's another little box that says reason for search. And I put in there investigative, theft suspect or something goes in that box. To justify why I searched for that plate, so we're not just searching for plates for the heck of it.
Right.
So you said earlier that there were, what, like 6,600 vehicles that came through?
Yes, ma'am.
Was that Rob going through the roundabout 6,600 times?
No, it only captures one plate one time, if you go through the roundabout 10 times in 30 minutes, it only has your plate captured once. So, yeah, it doesn't, right, so some of this data, I mean, and we can use the data, the 6,600 vehicles that come through in one day is not sensitive information. So the board says, hey, how many vehicles have we had, you know, come through? Okay, we've had 20,000 this month.
That's good for a tourist.
It's not sensitive information because we're not looking for particulars about what these vehicles are, who they are, what, you know, so anyway. It can be a tool, you know, so we can, so let's say we use that data to, how do we bolster our road and bridge infrastructure? What, you know, okay, so we have 20,000 vehicles a month. And this is our road and bridge infrastructure, where are we at? I mean, we can consult with people, you know, given this information, what do we need to change? What is the one thing we need to change to improve traffic safety, traffic flow, things of that nature? And it's a tremendous value to the community as a whole, not just the police department, but the community.
Once we have historical data too, it'd be pretty great. If I ran a restaurant, I'd wanna know, was this weekend any good?
Yeah, and we don't wanna say we want to use it for capital gain marketing.
No,
We
yeah,
don't wanna
right.
do that. I
But it's
mean,
just
that's
providing
not
the
the police
information.
department's job.
Just to provide the,
Yeah,
if you know the numbers.
well, certainly I would use it to say, how can we improve traffic safety in town, summer,
Sure.
special events, things of that nature. And we can use that to kind of help us figure out a direction to go.
So kind of touching on that, I don't want to diverge too much off the topic, but are there thoughts about expanding the system? So like say Argentine 22nd or Sixth and Rose? So that way it kind of covers the frontage road coming into town for people that aren't using the circuit.
Okay, so there's basically 2 points of entry. You can come off the interstate or you can come from the frontage road into Georgetown. It covers both of those. The only place it won't cover is Guanella Pass. If you want the psychology of, you know, criminogenic behavior is people are not gonna use a street for 24 miles that has really no turnoffs. They can't turn off of Guanella Pass Road to go to Denver at various points. So if you're gonna commit a crime here and you're gonna go 24 miles over a mountain to a choke point where Park County can be waiting for you, they're not thinking of that. They want to hit that interstate and they wanna be gone. So we can, My
only thinking of that would be somebody taking Main Street to 22nd.
That's,
The
and that
RGT.
is a possibility, they could certainly do that, I mean, they could technically go from Cornell Pass, commit a crime, Main Street, all the way to 22nd Street, frontage road, and we'll never know. That is, and that's an exception
So
to
maybe
what we're.
22nd in Argentina, maybe in the future to think about setting up. a
20, I mean, that would be the next point I would set up at. Because they could always come from the frontage road to 22nd Street to the back way to coming back.
And that's a high traffic area, there's gonna be a new.
Yeah, if they knew the, you know, the layout of the town and how to get in and out. But, so that would be the next point, and certainly we would look to expand, you know, we don't want Big Brother all over town, I don't want Big Brother all over town. You know, when it comes to the usage of cameras, I'm a little leery, because I don't like. You know, photo enforcement of traffic, you know, that's just somebody sitting there capturing your vehicle. Everyone's vehicle at the same time, you know, I don't like that. So I don't want this to be a fear factor. And people thinking, oh, there's too much Big Brother in town now, I don't want that, this is not my purpose. And certainly not what I'm gonna use this camera system for, so I wanna make clear to the public. It is purely an investigative tool. If a vehicle comes in and commits a crime, I need to figure out what vehicle that was. All of the vehicles mean nothing to me.
Is it really a good idea to notify the public though,
Of what?
of what we have? I kind of.
Well, like I told her, if people know what we have,
I know, yeah.
then it's a deterrent. They're gonna know, they're gonna figure out at some point.
I was gonna say, you know, criminals talk to each other. They tell two friends and so on, and so on, and so on. So I mean, I gotta believe, you know, at Criminal Central, they're like, are you going to present? Don't do that.
I mean, we're not gonna say, well, I'm not gonna say to anybody, to the public, oh, this is where the camera's at.
Right.
This is where they come into town, oh, they could go this way, no. Georgetown has LPR as an LPR system in place, if you go to Georgetown, we will, and commit a crime, we will know who you are. That is all I need to say,
Right,
nobody comes to Georgetown, they go somewhere.
and
I
that
just
to
don't want
me,
to ever know what the apparatus looks like, you know?
Well, that's why we're not gonna explain where it's at,
Yeah, I don't want
Yeah,
to
no.
know.
yeah.
that's why I said, don't, I'm not gonna explain where it's at.
But, you know, as far as the community and outreach and what we're doing here, I think it's pretty darn great to get that
I think
information.
it's important in this case for transparency.
Yes, there's that, as
Because
well,
people come to these towns for, you know, a secluded life.
right,
And if they think, well, you're always watching me, how am I living this quiet life? So I don't want them to be afraid of that.
sure.
And I think that's why in this case, it's important that people know what we have, why we have it. They don't have to have the particulars, where it's at, things of that
Just
nature.
know that the town is covering this.
And just know this is for your safety, your
Right.
protection. You know, I can't always be out 24/7. So at 3 AM, you know, somebody's coming into town and we know they're gonna do something nefarious. I get an alert, I get up and I go out. So that's what I want them to know. I will be able to more effectively protect them and their property.
This is a question, and I don't know if it's in our policy, and eventually I know we're gonna get back to that, but. You mentioned that the information is saved for 30 days. And I'm projecting this to the community outreach that you do, when you do the PR splash. So we have. You know, property owners here that have vacation homes that they may not be accessing. For months at a time. Now, you know, hopefully they've got a good neighbor kind of keeping an eye on things, but maybe they don't. So all of a sudden that 30 days has expired. They come in 60 days later, whatever, pick a number after 30, it doesn't make any difference. And return to their home to discover that, yes, in fact, it has been broken into. And is the data totally lost because you
Yeah.
purged it from the system? Or does Splot hold on to it for a longer period of time? Or?
It's gone, it's balled up, it's thrown in the trash can, and nobody has access to it.
Okay, well, and so again, though, as we're communicating that, you know, to our community. That just kind of adds another layer to them being, you know, proactive and making sure that, you know, they've got nobody's checking, you know, if
Yeah.
there's suspicious activity, you know, kind of.
Because the older the crime, the tougher it is for me to go back and figure out what vehicle did it. That's kind of I'm at a precipice at that point because I haven't had the training to figure out, okay, talking to the company. If a crime is 3 weeks old and they round about 3 weeks old, 3 weeks ago I was here, I'm back now, so we have a 3 week time frame. Somebody broke into this place. Okay, and some neighbor says, well, you know, one day I saw this red pickup truck, I think it was a Ford. It was suspicious to me. Okay, what can I do with that information? They may say, nothing. Or they may say, yeah, here's a field where you can type in red Ford pickup. And it'll generate all the red Ford. I don't know that. I'm just
Okay.
projecting, maybe that's a possibility with this system. I don't know, but the older the crime, the tougher it is for me to figure out now what I do from there is. When you're breaking into some place, there tends to be forensic evidence that's left behind. Nobody goes into a crime scene without leaving trace evidence. And I have my own abilities to pick that out and you save it as evidence. LPRs have nothing to do with that. That is my training, that is my abilities, that's my equipment that has that ability where I can solve these crimes, so.
Well, what if somebody actually was able to capture a license plate? Can you put that in?
Oh, absolutely, I type in the license plate. And it picks out the day and time that vehicle was there, it shows me a picture, and I'll have, what I'll have is a picture of my patrol vehicle in the board report. That shows how it captures it, on the system, so you'll see it. And how crystalline clear it is, that there is no mistake. When I pull up a plate, is it, I can't tell what this plate is on the camera, no, you will know, I'll show you.
Oh, what about those covers that some people have on their license plates to make it look grayed out?
So those are tinted covers, yeah, they do that for a purpose, if the camera cannot distinguish that that plate is, it starts looking for other marks. It could be a dent.
Yeah.
It could be a dent in a location that it captures and says, oh, this is very unique.
Or a bumper sticker or something.
Or a bumper sticker, this is very unique, this is what the camera's gonna capture.
So this could have been really great for when that semi hit
Oh,
7th
oh.
Street Bridge Rail.
Yeah.
That's exactly what I've been thinking about.
We would have known exactly what
Did we
the
have
plate was, no, and I tried everything.
I know you did.
Everything I could think of, anyway,
Yeah.
This could.
we would have known, it would not have got away.
Yeah. How about the marks that Jerry put on here?
So I'll go with the first one, the patrol division, we could just say, I think the better verbiage there is the police chief or his designee.
Yeah, so it shall be managed by it should be
The
managed
police
by
chief
the
or
patrol.
his designee, because myself and Ms. Hill both have administrative access, no one else. It doesn't matter how many officers we have, no one else will have that level of access.
But we're talking two separate sentences here, so all installation and maintenance of the ALPR equipment as well as ALPR data retention and access shall be managed by the police department.
Well, right, instead of the police department, more specific, the police chief or his designee,
Okay,
because.
and then the next sentence is the same, starts
Yes,
the
ma'am.
same way.
Yes.
Then the police chief or his designee or it's.
Or there.
Is it and or?
Well, I would say for the second sentence.
Or,
Is it or?
and yeah, the police chief or his designee, because. Both of us have the same.
Why don't, instead of saying his, let's make it apolitical, just in case,
Say whatever you want, but that's just kind
Or
of.
designee.
or designate.
Yeah.
Well, and you need designee at the start of the second sentence, because it says, well, the sign personnel, that is a designee.
Yeah,
It's
so
kind of,
So then it's just the police chief will assign personnel.
yeah,
Yeah.
redundant.
Yeah,
Number 5 can remain the same.
And I think he just says capitalized.
yeah, Jerry had just made some.
Small thing, yeah.
And that's just, you just want that to be uniform throughout, it's just really, whether or not it's lowercase or capital is contextual.
And it's housekeeping, and as we go through these policies,
Right.
that's what we wanna do, so we just, you know.
Right.
Well, yes, we're being nitpicky, but we want it to be clear.
Okay, so that's the same, police chief for number 2, under the LPI data collection and retention. He questions.
The chief
Flock.
designee.
Yeah, on number 3, when he questions Flock, do we want to keep Flock in there?
Flock is the company managing the assets.
Well, wait, so on number 2, on the second page, on number 2, we're changing the patrol division to the police department?
No, the police chief or designee is responsible to ensure proper collection and retention of data. So,
Okay, so here's my question on this one though, because the last sentence says this restriction only applies to LPR equipment attached to patrol vehicles. Right now, we don't have any LPR equipment attached to patrol vehicles, am I correct?
right,
So let's strike that sentence, and if we get to the point where we end up having them in the patrol vehicles, it's something that we need to go back and flag and add to
Yeah,
this.
let's get rid of 2 altogether.
Well, it doesn't apply now, and it may apply in the future, would it be a good idea to get rid of it?
No,
it's,
yeah.
it does sort of apply now because I have I just received an MDT. I'm waiting for a docking station. But that, once I get the docking station, it will now be in my patrol vehicle. So it will be inside of a vehicle,
I don't like that,
What part will be inside your vehicle?
the MDT.
which is,
The
But
data terminal, mobile data terminal, that allows me access to
well,
CCIC
it's
and
different than
NCIC.
it being the camera.
But it's not-
Oh, yeah,
it's not
no, no,
the-
this
This
is
is
not,
referring
this
to
is,
the camera,
let me see,
the data from the camera, or the camera itself.
LPR. It says collects retention of LPR data and for LPR data stored in department vehicles. So if we had a camera on a vehicle, it would not be stored in that camera. It would be stored in the terminal, but the terminal is accessing the server. So it's, yeah, you can delete 2 because,
Yeah.
Wait, the whole 2 or just the last
All
sentence?
of it.
So even the 30 days shouldn't apply?
So we can address, that's addressed in 3 in a different way.
Oh,
no, the 30 days remain, the 30 days is within the server.
okay,
The
so
server's
2
not gonna
is
be-
really irrelevant.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Okay,
So it'll be,
The first
it
sentence,
remains the same.
so we put the first sentence of example number 2. elsewhere.
I think number 2 stays the same with the exception of the last line, because it's still, is this not correct? The police chief or designee is responsible to ensure proper collection and retention of all ALPR data. I'm just getting rid of the A because it makes it awkward to say. And for transferring the LPR data stored in department vehicles, we don't have anything stored in department
No.
vehicles.
That's what I'm saying.
That's what we're saying, just get rid of the whole thing.
But do we need to appoint the police chief or designee to ensure the proper collection elsewhere in one of those?
Isn't
Yeah.
that a number 1?
yeah,
I mean, it's not.
So,
not in the public.
Right?
the 30-day retention is automatic.
Yeah.
What we are doing as the police chief or designee is having access to the system to be able to put in license plates. What does this license plate represent? This is a theft suspect. To enter that kind of data that goes out throughout the system, the officers won't be able to do that.
So when the data initially comes in, and you may not know this yet because of the training. Is the data that's collected, the car goes by the reader. The data is captured, does that go
Server
to our server? Or to a flock
to
server?
the flock.
And then it gets transferred to our server?
Yeah.
No, we then access that data. So it doesn't automatically come to us. I mean, it's web-based, we access it.
It seems to me though, this was, when we first came, we were talking about this, the context was the camera in the car.
Right.
And so then,
Yeah.
once the board made the decision that we weren't going with the camera in the car, we were gonna go with the stationary camera.
Yeah,
I think the policy was more driven towards the camera in the car and
Yeah.
not stationary.
yeah, so we don't have.
Number two, to me, feels like it's irrelevant
Yeah.
if we're not doing
I think so,
capture in the car.
right, I think so.
Whereas
And what-
number one says that, I mean, it tells us what we're doing.
Who,
Yeah, number three says how
How
we're
long?
downloading it, yeah.
But. So so then if we, I think it's important that the policy include the 30-day.
That's on number 3 at the bottom.
But that. But that says Flock deletes all the data.
Block manages the data, I won't
Always.
be able to go in and wipe it, that's.
It's on
their-
the minute.
But they might wipe it before we need it, that's what I'm worried about.
Well, that's 30 days,
Well-
at 30 days.
Well, I'm just saying, if there's like something that, you know, that comes up on the 31st day and it's like, that historical data.
What is the minimum period of department record detention?
For this, it's gonna be 30, we're only gonna maintain 30 days. Unfortunately, at 32 days, if somebody says, oh, this is what happened, I think this is the suspect vehicle, well, they came too late. So. I will be, and I apologize, I will be able to, I'll know more about this once I have the company representative actually tell us. You know, go through the training and say, this is what it does, this is what we do, this is how it works, and I'll be able to bring more detailed information to
The
people.
only other,
Okay, oh, I'm sorry, go ahead.
I was just, the only other thought I had was, wherever it mentions vehicles, we strike that part of it. Cause it's going, like, for example, the police chief
Yeah,
or
I think-
designee is
yeah.
responsible to ensure proper collection and retention of it. The LPR data, we're transferring LPR data stored in, and strike out police department vehicles and just put stored to the department server.
So,
So
okay,
then we don't lose that important part, we just strike the vehicle section.
and that makes sense, because when you start to read number 3, it does refer to. That the data downloaded to the server should be stored for the minimum period established by department records retention guidelines. What are our department records retention guidelines, and if it's different, you know, so there needs to be some more. Specific information.
So,
These are the guidelines for LPR, we don't have another section for. Records with so for example, Axon Body. Is stored differently unless it's trash. Trash is stored for 30 days and then and I label it trash, this is an inadvertent activation.
so
I couldn't find the guy when I went to the house, there's no
Yeah.
point in retaining it.
I'm
but-
saying that this section can be retained, we just take out in department vehicles, slash that
Yeah.
line, and then the last sentence, slash attached to the patrol vehicle, and then put instead to the department server.
It's not the department server though.
You know,
Or we just take out the last line completely then, because it says that's the restriction only plays to the vehicle, then it doesn't matter, we slash either the last line and we just take out. On the first sentence, in department vehicles.
yeah, it's not gonna go to our server. This data is not gonna go to our server.
But that's one of the protections.
But so you're still responsible to ensure the proper collection and retention of the data.
That's gonna come from Block when they do the training, but I'm going to assume they're gonna tell us that this information goes to their server. If we don't touch it, if we don't flag it, in 30 days, it's erased. That is what I'm assuming they're gonna tell me.
I'm guessing.
So maybe once the training occurs and you can confirm some of this information,
For sure,
we
for
come
sure.
back
Yes.
to this paragraph that we are hitting our heads on a brick wall over,
Yes, ma'am.
because we might not have to, or we may have to do it.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, that's a great idea. So how are we, how are we leaving now?
So we're holding that section for confirmation from after they receive their training.
Circle back. After John's training.
But the rest of it, so I think Flock, I know Jerry commented, what is this Flock? We know what Flock is now, we understand that. I, you know, would it would it help if you identified who Flock was? I don't know.
That's what I was just gonna ask, is Flock the company that
Yeah.
trains you in Lexipol, and
And-
Lexipol's a software program?
Flock's is the.
No, all
equipment
right,
provider.
don't be confused.
Okay,
Flock simply deals with the LPR equipment
Oh.
and software.
that's what okay.
That is,
Is
yeah.
there an
Sorry.
official name of Flock?
No.
Flock
LL
safety.
Flock, yeah,
Flock Safety,
Yeah.
LLC kind of thing?
Is that, is it FLOC or FLOCK?
I think it's
Oh, it's Flock, like FLOCK safety,
Flock Safety?
yeah.
I think that would even.
Yeah,
Yeah.
let's put their whole name in, just so that it makes,
Okay, so Flock runs the license plate readers.
yeah, so Flock
sorry.
Safety, is that their entire name? Flock Safety,
Like safety, that's so.
deletes all data not associated with active cases after 30 days.
Yeah, it's Flock Safety.
Not corporation, not
No, it's
company,
Flock
it's
Safety.
Flock Safety. Okay.
Mhm.
I didn't say it.
That's an
LLC or anything.
Flock Safety.
Okay. Maybe we can italicize it or something to make it look like it's not some weird sentence.
LPRs. Company.
I mean, you can,
I think it's
I
fine.
don't know, yeah.
Okay. So records manager, should that also be police chief or designee?
No, the records manager at this point is Ms. Hill.
So-
We've never had an administrative assistant position, but she also manages records.
Is that
So
part of your title?
it's,
Record specialist,
So if you're a record specialist, if that's part of your title, then that's what this should say.
that's.
Well, it says we're designee too.
Well, unless you're making it the police chief or designee type thing, let's not use a term that we don't use in our department. It is the only,
well, this is a very generic term.
but we're making this policy to the Georgetown Police Department. And so we don't have to keep it generic. What we're referring to as is who is that person? Who is, if, you know,
Some departments have they have record specialists. You are a record specialist. You sit here and that is what you do for the department.
and who do we have?
Ms. Hill
What's
has
her
many
title?
roles,
Administrative assistant.
administrative
Police.
assistant.
And so that's what it should be written here. If she's the person, if that's the job that has that. Even though that's part of her job, if her title is police administrative assistant, that's what it should say.
Okay.
That's.
I know it's pissy, I get that, but that's what it should say.
I agree, I kind of like keeping police chief or designee because that kind of keeps it open and available and uniform to the rest
Well,
of the.
that would be fine too, but yeah,
Just my 2 cents on it.
so what's your pleasure? John, police chief or designee or?
And you can, so that'll be consistent with the rest of the policy. So, you know,
I prefer that too, just not to, because
That's fine.
it covers you immediately, but at least,
Yeah, you're the designee.
yeah, you're the
And
designee.
anybody can be that designee, if that position
Whoever
changes,
John-
the title changes.
Exactly, you don't have to change the
Designee is
whole
all good to
policy,
go.
yeah.
Yeah, I agree.
I have.
Yeah,
So then I have a question for number 3, where it says all ALPR data downloaded to the mobile workstation. What's the mobile workstation?
and that is it's any computer, desktop, laptop, MDT.
Okay, I just
Because
wanted
we-
to make sure that we weren't talking mobile as in a vehicle LPR.
No, it's the computer that I can take in and out of the computer, car.
it's more like laptop kind of things.
Yeah, it's what you see on the desk, which is looks like a huge iPad. That's tough,
We'll
iPad.
probably have an app on his phone
Okay, but that's the
to
kind
Yeah.
access this. If it doesn't.
It'll be right
it's
next to
up
the
to him.
Lexipol app.
of.
Exactly.
All right, is there anything else? All right, so I guess the question, is there a motion to, oh, no, we.
No,
We need to table. We
Yeah,
need to
just do
table.
that.
I've scheduled our meeting for Tuesday morning at 10, for our training.
Great,
We're a little limited, but I think he can make that. Yes.
We'll use that as.
awesome. Okay, so we got. Phew, that one, and then the last topic for today is, well, let's check the time, we're at 4:05.
We can start again on this one.
Yes, so we'll go ahead, I think we're over time. Or unless you, what do you wanna keep going?
I thought we were going to 5.
Oh,
Aren't we?
well, we were saying this was gonna be an hour at a time, or just go until we finish?
Well,
Which one last topic?
I'm okay with hitting one last topic for everybody else.
Well, we can make sure that.
we can cut it off at 5, we should not have.
Or, you know, it's easier for you.
Okay, alright, we're gonna push through this.
So you guys can stay if you want to for the interview process policy that we're slowly working on, or.
As exciting as it sounds.
We're going to adjourn.
Other matters to attend. Thank you.
Thanks for coming.
Well, ladies and gentlemen of the board, we appreciate inviting us and allowing us to speak here and your time, so you all have a good day.
Just remember, we'll be invited back for the next one.
Yes, ma'am.
Tuesday.
No,
No.
I mean, the next time we look at a police policy.
I like to be included.
Thanks, John, thanks, Ken.
Bye, guys.
Take care.
Okay,
Alright, we're gonna push through, so, again, I apologize for not making this a red line to make this easy, however, I do have my shining sheets with all the stuff, so I'll go through that. So, well, where I made changes is number 2.
Good to see you.
Okay,
So number 2 is now job postings, which we did not have that before. And what I have is, and correct this if I have any kind of wording, because there was one part I did change when I was reading through it, because it sounded so wonky to me.
The job posting.
Yeah, and so I was like, I don't like the way this sounds, so I suggested something else.
okay,
So, number 2, job postings, we decided all positions, depending on the department, are posted to the public on the town's website for at least 2 weeks. That was the one I changed because it sounded so wonky.
And I wrote, which it says the same thing, but I mean, this is all positions will be posted to the public for at least 2 weeks. Or deadline that is specific on the job description.
Oh, so
And
the
then we were
deadline.
checking legal requirements.
I would wonder why it's dependent on the department. It's like all positions are posted.
I know, that's what I'm saying, when I was doing this myself, it just felt wonky.
Yeah,
So all positions are posted to the public.
Yes.
They got the president and the-
Yes, all positions are posted to the public. And then we said,
for at least 2
For a
weeks.
minimum of 2 weeks.
public for the town's website for. at
Or
least 2
deadline
weeks.
that is specific on the job description.
Do we want that on there, or is that,
Or do we wanna say until filled? When, I mean, for at least 2 weeks or until filled, because if it was up for 3 days and you hired somebody, why are you keeping it up for 2 more weeks?
But there's an opportunity, if you look at it in a broader sense, if we post a job. And we don't get any applicants. We may end up, if it says or until filled. Does that give us an obligation to fill that position at some point? Or, and we've had the situation occur. Where we didn't get any applications, or we didn't get any viable candidates, we looked at the position, changed the title and reposted it.
And we got a lot more interest.
So,
Yeah,
But I mean,
that's.
If you say 2 weeks or until filled, don't we still hold the prerogative to change that if the dynamics of the search change?
It's not the same job, so you don't post that anymore.
Right,
You post your new job,
and you start the 2 weeks all over again, right?
right?
so that's why I took off based on the job description stuff, because I'm like, it just feels weird. All positions are posted to the public on the town's website for at least 2 weeks, is that?
But what, we also put in the newspaper.
Yeah, but we were kind of keeping it to make sure that at the very least, we were always
Okay.
posting it to the
Oh,
website.
gotcha.
But I would say that
Yeah.
by virtue of being on the town's website, it is public. And I don't know that we need to say.
Sure.
That way, if you don't wanna put something.
Okay,
You don't have. to.
that's a good other, are posted, take off to the public
Posted on the town's
on
website.
the town's website for at least 2 weeks. Yes, okay, I think that sounds way better too.
It should say for a minimum of 2 weeks. It just sounds more.
You do give some definition to the time frame.
For a minimum of 2 weeks. Yeah, that sounds good too. All right, everybody good with that? Number 3, candidate screening, we did say a lot here and I wrote down many things, but this is, after thinking through this, this is what I determined. The
Okay,
town administrator will screen applications to determine qualified candidates based on the job description to be selected for interviews.
That's what we got next.
that works.
That's
Okay.
exactly what I was thinking.
You could have said it better himself.
Why did we spend an hour on
I'm so
that?
glad you're here. Number 4, this would become number 4, it's the last bullet that we added. Subsequent interviews, if necessary, are preferred to be in person.
Yeah, for sure, right. Cause if he's, you know, in the Keys and you want him to travel,
Yeah, this is what we discussed, yep.
Okay, number 5, interview panel. We said as is. And
I mean, the only change I had was I thought it was we couldn't at least.
Yeah, we were not gonna do no more than 5 anymore, because of the, remember when we were talking about.
we went in circles. And then the very last thing I remember saying, or we're just gonna keep that, so I put as is, but if we wanna readdress that after thinking through it again.
The panel must consist of a minimum of 3 members.
We put at least in front of representatives. from
Yeah, it was at
commission.
least.
Yeah. In
That's
front
what we
of,
were talking-
can you tell me again? Where's the at least go to?
So after Board of Selectmen and. And that.
Wait, you're on the second.
Okay,
One,
I'm
two,
not there yet. I'm not there yet, Jen. I'm just still looking at that first one because
Oh, sorry.
that very first bullet,
I was fairly certain that we had next the no more than 5, because of the scenario where we have at times had community participation, and then at that time, and during those times, we generally have a person from each ward or something like that. And that gets us pretty close to 5 already without even addressing the other.
yeah, it doesn't say we can't have more, it just says we have to have a.
With a recommendation of no more than 5.
Yeah, I'm just saying,
It kind of gives, it kind of. Maybe I really don't want you to do more than 5, I don't know.
I mean, that's not to jump ahead too far, but then there's a bullets down below, it does say the panel not to exceed 5.
mhm,
Right, so
Yeah.
that's where I get bumped.
yeah,
Okay, so let's jump ahead here. We have an interview process that's coming up next week that if we keep in with a recommendation of no more than 5, totally contradicts what we're doing next week.
Right.
So panel must consist of a minimum of 3 members.
so why don't we just
Just
scratch
scratch
off
the rest.
everything else off, because then it still gives us discussion.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you can go more, but you won't go once.
Okay. That's a good guideline.
And do we get rid of the not to exceed 5 on the bullet Bruce was thinking too, or in both of those bullets?
well, so on the second bullet though, this is I think where we stopped because we started to have the conversation somewhere in this chunk
Mhm.
of administrative positions and
But it was okay for these because of the positions, right? Isn't that what we discussed?
and Jen, you were gonna look up whether technically you were appointed by the board of selectmen.
Yeah, we talked about that and we're hired by the administrator.
That changed with the charter change.
Do we have any appointment positions?
We do, but it's like judge. It's. It's things that we don't normally, we're not gonna see, it's
Right.
very rare
This
that
is
we're gonna see
happening,
that.
yeah.
And
Technically, the police chief and the town administrator are appointed by the board,
Yeah,
so, and yeah, the judges, the police.
Yeah, it's
They
attorney,
come with different credentials that.
right, it's
you know.
administrator, attorney, judge,
Mhm.
and I wanna say tax collector or something like that, something that we haven't hired.
Isn't this selectmen appointed by the people? No.
Elected.
Elected. Elected. Somebody elected me.
Yeah, and one other thing I did change, when I was going through my notes, I did change, and we can scratch this off, but if you look at the second bullet point under interview panel, I put for administrative positions or appointed positions. Cause I felt like I don't need to create a new category for that. It's high level, and so I kept it high level, cause the administrative one to me is the highest level of how we're doing our screening. So I eliminated doing a whole separate section of appointed to give an example, cause I'm like, it's gonna be very similar, you want. But I could change it if you guys think so. That was one thing that I had put on here that was different. Does that mean someone's trying to?
Yeah.
He's trying to join, you can.
So I'm just concerned about. In this second bullet. Halfway through the paragraph, we've got. The town administrator will ask the board of selectmen
We don't
commission
have anybody
to
else.
select their representatives. Then you've got the town administrator will post at least 1 week in advance of the interview. The public will be able to submit a letter of interest. I'm just concerned how we're going to get the word out for that. And have that turnaround time in such a short period of time.
Or another thought I had would be, the town administrator would be responsible for finding somebody from the community.
Or if we don't even say how that person at large, I don't know, I just, I don't want to put us into a corner that. You know, like even when we were trying to establish this committee. We talked about it at the board of selectmen, then we had to make a public notice saying that we were. You know, collecting resumes or letters of interest, you know, and then it had to come back to the board, that drags out this process, if
Yeah.
you wanna put together an interview panel.
Right.
I just don't want us to be. You know, so,
The town administrator will post at least 1 week in advance of the interview. Post what? I'm sorry.
Post, requesting an at-will person from the community to be on the interview panel.
Okay, that's what I was, sorry, thank you.
well, then we should clarify that, because it's kind of ambiguous.
Town administrator will post for the public to submit a letter of interest 1 week in advance of the interview. Somehow combine.
The public, well, yeah.
Stop it.
Administrator. A member from the public. Who participate. Will seek interest from the members of the public. Town administrator will seek interest from the letter from the members of the public.
No, I think it should have, will post, town administrator will post. At least, no, hang on, I have, it's not sheet, sorry. Town administrator. The town administrator will post for the public to submit a letter of interest. 1 week in advance, that's how you. The town administrator.
Or 10 days.
To get interest from the public.
Yeah, so in
At the
1
very
week,
end.
you're gonna get,
Well, why don't you say 2 to 10 days, cause that might encompass 2 weekends.
Right, the town administrator will post at least 1 week in advance of the interview to gather citizen.
a letter of interest from the public.
Yeah, right. Things are great.
Is it not working?
No, it's fantastic.
Oh.
I'm loving it.
Oh.
I found it exalted.
Okay, what I have here is, the town administrator will post at least 1 week in advance of the interview to gather citizen interest from the public.
I think that's perfect.
Okay.
No,
You don't
did
think the
you
time's
want-
too short?
10 days in advance.
I mean, I'm
You
just
can
trying
always
to,
go longer.
Well, I was just saying,
Well, that's true.
That's the minimum. if you say 10 days, okay, the minimum could be, I was gonna say 10 days, 9 times out of 10, you're gonna encompass 2 weekends. Sometimes people need the weekend to either get it together or think about it or whatever. I just thought it would be,
I'm just trying to think for all the interviews that I've done. I've done it within days.
yeah, true.
You know, like I'll get on the phone and like, hey, are you interested? Or like get the notification out of immediate, like even trying to find the panel, the peer panel for the police chief positions. I got on and I sent out an email with like 15 different potentials. And I was able to get back 4 immediately. And remember, we only need at least 3.
Right.
So now I have 4 with another who's kind of on the fence to be 5.
Okay,
I knew that within 2 days.
yeah, okay, so you don't need 10
So
days.
but think in terms of how things get posted. Jen's email goes out on Fridays typically, that's, so, granted, we've collected. We know the deadline is coming for the candidates, we know we've got some potential candidates, he's doing the screening process. And so, he knows he's gonna be setting up interviews, so way ahead of that game. The town administrator is gonna be soliciting for those letters of interest. But if we include, the opportunity for that to go out in the, or is that what we're considering? Is that email official enough, or something goes out on the bulletin board? As opposed to somebody coming up and saying, oh, I wish I had known.
I don't think the weekly email is anything like official, like, it's something that,
Well, I think that if somebody's looking for a position like this, then they're looking on the website.
But here's the thing though, okay, I'm just trying to think out loud. If I say 10 days, that actually handicaps me.
Yeah.
And I don't wanna be cause if we go, we didn't follow policy, we can't do this. I have to have at least 10 days. But if I said a week, I can take 10 days. I can do it way before that.
Right.
But I have to at least do it before a week to get that. And that's why I put at least.
Yeah.
So I feel more comfortable with that.
That's fine.
Yeah.
Yeah, I certainly don't wanna be the fly in the ointment in 10 days.
In that next sentence, the
We
town
can't do it
administrator will
because
select the
Ron-
public representative of parentheses S. In case you do select one.
Which one's it?
The town administrator, because up above it says at least one at large from the public.
yeah.
So the town administrator will select the public representative from the letters,
Mhm.
representative with the parentheses S. So that if you wanna have 2, you can have 2.
Yeah,
Okay,
Good point.
good, yeah, I like that. We'll
You can
select
choose one or.
representatives. And I could put like parentheses S, is that what you're saying? Okay,
That way you can have 1 or.
yes, okay, good call.
I noticed there's 2 number 7s, that's like a typo.
Yeah. Alright, so. Proceedings, compliance is 9. Okay, as far as the changes for the others,
Yeah, well, we.
we didn't have any changes.
Okay.
Yeah, so.
Or did we not have any change, or did we not?
I don't know. Oh, we'll get that.
How come it's like this? Cause we read out.
You don't have a copy, do you?
No, it's okay.
Did you have any feedback as far as the second category of the town department positions?
No, but I guess we reviewed that
We
one.
did.
What about it, what if it's a department supervisor, I mean,
then does that fall
Well, it's
into
like-
the administrative positions?
I don't know.
Or what we could put is administrative or department head, or department director.
So for administrative positions, comma, department heads
Yeah.
or appointed
Yeah.
positions.
Or, okay. I like that better.
So then you're gonna renumber the second under 7. And then you're gonna renumber
Yeah.
old 8 to new 9. However, under the selection process, we should add something that allows us to. All right, let's jump back to the police department here.
Or something, if you-
No, we may look at, I mean, certain positions may require, a medical, exam or a psychological exam. Some departments do polygraphs. We want to be able to allow in a generic statement that additional reviews or additional evaluations, may be required dependent on the position.
Right.
So that
That's a good
opens up.
That's part of the candidate screening, though, making sure that they have all that
That's
stuff to do the job.
We're not gonna, but how, so if a police department uses a psychological evaluation, are you going to accept someone else's psych eval? Are you as a candidate? Here, my favorite shrink gave me this.
Yeah, right.
That, and you're not gonna pay,
Last thing is going to.
you're not gonna pay for that until you've interviewed them. And you've said, oh, we've got 3 qualified candidates here, let's send them for whatever. Or it could be a medical exam kind of thing, you wanna make sure that they're fit for duty because they,
Okay.
so we just need a generic statement allowing us to
That way.
have a continued process.
All right, I'm gonna jump on this and see how Mr. Policy kind of fits. At the very end of that, contingent on an acceptable background in medical screening.
Well, it might not even be a medical screening. I think that might be too specific.
Or,
Does a medical
because I mean, we
screening,
have to have a background cleared.
does a medical screening violate a HIPAA thing?
No, but like, I had to have, I had to have a medical screening as the administrator. I remember doing it.
But we're not gonna do it on every person, okay, we may not,
Additional criteria may be required.
That's good too.
additional evaluation.
Use that in a policy.
Contingent on any additional evaluations required.
Yeah.
Conditioned on any additional evaluations required.
This is a special test for the water and wastewater department on mirror to see if they can fog it.
Contingent on any additional evaluations required.
So you're putting that under the new number 8.
Yes, a full first,
Just continuing the sentence.
yeah,
Under first bullet,
I'm sorry,
say
say that one more time, Ray.
sure. Okay, at the very last sentence where it says from the interview panel, comma. Conditional. On any additional evaluations required. It could be conditional or contingent, either
I
way.
think conditional might be better,
Conditional.
because you're making the selection, but then they don't make it, well, it's a conditional selection, now you move on to somebody else.
Conditional.
Evaluations, did it say evaluations required?
Yeah, if additional evaluations required.
Yeah.
Hey, look, I just wanna ask, Bruce, I wanna ask you,
Yeah,
is there a difference between conditional and contingent?
In legal terms, there is.
yeah, because you're conditionally selected. Now, if
You're
you
not-
don't pass these other things, those conditions don't apply to you, and now we're gonna move to somebody else on that list.
Right.
Now, I guess contingent could kind of mean the same thing, but in that sense, I'm used to using the word conditional.
I think
As a
it leaves a
conditional-
lot less ambiguity.
Yeah.
As
I think conditional is more, yeah.
I agree, I like the way it sounds too.
Yeah.
For the last bullet, should it be any deviations from this policy must be pre-approved by the town administrator? Or doesn't that make a difference?
Want to read it?
I'll agree with you there.
I do too. As opposed to after the fact.
Yeah,
Oops.
doesn't never
What do
happen.
you like better?
Rather than just approve.
Oh, pre-approved, got it.
I approved it a week after it happened.
Should approve.
No, I think that's good. I like pre-approved. It shows that there was thought behind this. They made an exception, it was justified, blah, blah, blah.
Blah, blah.
Okay. Any other thoughts, guys?
I just have kind of a bit of a thought about whether or not we want to include anything in here, and I don't know the specifics, I know some of them, but. If we want to address it all, and maybe this isn't the place, for instance, where we say. Feedback to be documented and shared with the town administrator and hiring manager for further evaluation. That feedback written down on a piece of paper is not a public document. You know, I don't know if we want
What
to
number are
address
we
that.
looking at?
She's on seven.
No, I hear what you're saying, because it's not something that,
You're allowed to share, you're not even allowed to keep it.
Correct.
no, exactly,
Right.
shredded.
Right, right. And, you know, let's just stick with that example, but,
But so what are you suggesting though? I mean.
and maybe just a blanket sentence that we will comply with all.
Privacy issue.
For privacy, cause what's that statute section? That, you know, we have to abide by as far as the retention of documents during the interview.
Remember, this still ultimately too, and I agree with you, goes to our attorney for.
Right, right, so maybe Jerry moves in the statute stuff. An
So maybe that's where we need
umbrella.
an extra eye or his
Yeah.
extra, look on that so that it's worded correctly, so that it covers us
Yeah.
on that.
Yeah,
I'm gonna make a note because I think it's really important. I'm gonna put all documentation is retained by the town administrator. And then the question I have is. What I normally do is I get rid of hard copies because I don't wanna collect them.
Yeah.
mhm,
I already have it in the file, cause if I go into personnel and I wanna look under candidate, like. Assistant administrator, I have all the candidates from the past that are sitting right there. So, and the question is, how long should I hold that? I don't know, I've never thought about it, but what if we lost one? I could easily go back and call in, would you be interested if we were to do another candidacy? I've got candidates that I could call back, so, and I noticed that, in the files, I have plenty of that for town administrators, candidates, that, I think her name is Keisha or somebody, Alicia, that's it, Alicia and, Brown, what's it? Kent Brown.
Yes.
They had a file where they were interviewing candidates, and so it's like, it's not available to the public, but it is retained by the
I
town
think you
administrator.
have a retention requirement.
I believe it depends on the position.
Right, exactly.
And off the top of my head, I want to say that you only hold town administrator
I think it's a short time.
1 year.
Right.
And
yeah,
then I think it's 3 months for other.
Sure.
Would it be in the Colorado retention schedule? I mean, we have one of those, you know.
It
And
may
that's-
be
yeah.
in there, I'm trying to remember where I have it.
So that's my point, I think we get it.
All documentation is retained by the administrator and. Deleted
In compliance with.
or shredded
The state law through the retention.
Yeah.
Schedule of
and
application.
shredded. Based on what did you call that?
Colorado retention schedule.
That's why, Rick. Even on. Paper copies of the ones that aren't hired should still be coming down to me and they're held. For X amount of time, whatever position it is, and then I shred them.
not shredded right away
Right.
or, you know.
Okay, well, that's why I thought I can add another bullet point.
Yeah.
And just put all documentation is retained by the town administrator and deleted and shredded based on the Colorado retention schedule.
Or his designee, are you,
Okay,
are you,
I
you're
get-
HR, right?
yeah, town administrator and that or
Or,
or their designate
and or the designee.
and or designate. Endorse designate. All documentation is retained by the town administrator and or designate and deleted and shredded based on the Colorado retention schedule. Okay, so that's a new. Okay,
I'm guessing Jerry will want to slip that up a little.
oh, yeah, yeah. This is,
So let me ask a question. At this, so let's say this interview policy is pretty much what we got. Okay, do we foresee this going to the board next? And then to Jerry, or to Jerry and then the board?
I'd say Jerry and then the board.
Well, but.
If we're gonna vote on,
And I can agree with that, but if the board has more input, why should it go to Jerry and then the board and then Jerry again? I'm trying.
But they might have less questions if we've already given it to Jerry first, and they'll get a clean version and maybe have a better understanding, or without putting that Jerry eye on it, I would say it might be a little unclear, and they have the same questions we have.
Or they may have more questions, but I think the conversation and the questions is exactly why we have so many different people coming at this from a different angle here. Is that your question, you're gonna look at it from a different lens, and I might be looking at it, then Mary might be looking at it. And so we're trying to keep this process a little bit smoother and a little bit less expensive, so that Jerry's not looking at it 50 million times kind of thing. And trying not to drag out, the board meetings too, so I'm just, I'd like to see, we're still gonna stumble through this process for a while.
Right. I know that when I'm working with committees, I like for the legal to have already had whatever they've worked on before I look at it. Just because it's clean, it's already, and then if we have questions on top of that, great, but at least we've got the polished version before that.
one other thing too, because I'm just trying to think my interaction with Jerry during these things, he usually can clean this up way better than what I put in a legal, he can shorten in a legal term that's gonna sound way better and tighten up than what we could do. So it could save us a lot more time by saying, Jerry, this was our thoughts, we'd like to let you put your eyes on this. And he's gonna come back, he may come back and say, I need you to strike all of that, I don't want any of that on here. Like of a basic policy,
Why have you guys debated if it's?
yeah, he may come, because he's done that before too.
Right.
But again, it's only money,
I was gonna say, that's,
it's only money, too.
You laugh. He's been on my what list today.
Well, I mean, obviously, it's not.
I bet he can feel it too.
What are
so
you guys-
how are we decide, so my question is, how are we deciding this? So if this is done, if this committee acts, or just because we're still getting our feet wet on this whole process, do we want this with our changes to come back to us one more time to look at it again? I don't want to drag this out forever. Or are we ready to say, Rick, or whomever, make those changes and send it to?
We always have a first and second reading. Why would this be any different?
I'm not saying it would, but are we sending it to Jerry first, or are we, or is it coming back to us one more time? I don't know.
I would like to see it, I would like to see the changes with Jerry's polish come back to us one more time.
I kind of would like to see it before it goes to Jerry to make sure the changes that are indeed what we all thought they were going to be, and then
It goes to
off
Jerry,
to Jerry,
Okay.
and then it comes back to us.
and then it comes back to us.
Okay, so then we'll see this policy change. on our next agenda, that's what I was trying to clarify,
Yeah.
okay.
So this is not going to Jerry, come back to us
Right.
first.
Correct.
I'll say that for the next meeting.
Oh,
Okay.
Once we see how that parses out, I'll save this video for.
I mean, is this gonna become an ordinance?
No.
Okay, I just thought when he said there's 2 readings. I didn't think it was.
Why'd you-
Yeah, no, that's okay.
Way to go, Ross.
No, I didn't look at it, no, yeah, no, I think that's good, you know, just, it's all clarification.
So it comes back to you guys and then it's going to the board. Is that how we finished
Go to
it?
Jerry.
Goes to
Then to
Jerry,
Jerry,
then
then
to
the
the
board, and then that was
And no, then it comes back to us again.
Jerry,
After Jerry,
committee, and then board,
and
and
then,
then you write your recommendation.
yeah,
Okay,
Okay,
but it doesn't become ordinance, it just was.
well, that's what I thought it was policy.
Yeah. It's okay, this will get, this will get smoother, no, this will get smoother. So,
All right, so I'm putting a note at the very top, just what we said. One more time to the committee, then to Jerry, then to the board.
No, come back to the committee.
Oh.
back to the,
And then
then to the
They
board,
write their recommendation.
Gee, Rick.
and then we write a recommendation with the polished version. And then,
Why am I on this board? Okay, one more time to the committee, then to Jerry, then to the committee.
Right,
Yes.
they write their recommendation, then. it goes to the board.
Okay,
okay,
it's clear as mud. Into the
it's not
committee
ready up there yet.
so let's check our calendar.
for a recommendation.
I do wanna ask though, is, Mary, you're a warden?
I know.
Does that make us all prisoners? Are we all prisoners? She's the warden?
Yeah, sure, so real quick, when I emailed Lexipol, you know, I did it from the, you know, selectman address kind of thing, and so I signed my name, Mary Smith, Board of Selectmen, Ward 3. So all of a sudden I'm the warden, and I told him, we were laughing about it, and I'm like, I'm not the warden. You know, but that's where it came from, well, now the guy thinks it's funny and won't let go of
Oh,
it.
no, you're just
And
the one.
yeah, so now I'm the warden.
I see what you brought
For
up.
the Shawshank Redemption, this is Georgetown.
Exactly. So yeah, so if we asked, if we're Georgetown wardens, I guess, you know, right now it's me, so. Anyway, when are we meeting again? Before we adjourn? Because I'd love to adjourn, but I got the better.
23rd or 30th?
Yeah, going for the 16th.
Oh,
Your next week, yeah.
I'm not here at all.
Next week is not good.
And I'm not there, I'm not here the next week.
Fine.
The week of the 19th. The week of the 19th.
I'm gone that week, taking my daughter to college.
Oh, where you going?
She's going to California State University at Monterey.
That, you know, I always like it when our kids go to colleges, we like to visit.
Yes.
Yes. Congratulations.
Yeah, but from the students' point of view, or our children's point of view, they probably would rather pick some godforsaken place that we don't want to come to.
Yeah. Far away.
That's right.
I'm applying to.
Is there something the 19th, the 23rd?
No, that's the week that Jen's.
I mean, if you,
Oh.
you guys could still hold it, I could always.
Oh, so we just don't, we both just have to make sure that we're taking.
Somebody else will take
Mr.
it.
Gordon,
Yeah.
or someone else could, yeah, I'll take.
So I would prefer the week of the 19th, because that last week of August, I'm really sketched with my schedule, so,
Yeah, me
but
too.
that's just me, so.
I do too.
I could maybe do the 21st or the 22nd.
The planning commission is planning to cancel that month's meeting, so that would be available.
That's the 21st.
Yeah.
Okay,
All right, so if we're meeting the 21st, we need to meet at 3 o'clock again? Is that okay?
Works.
Okay.
Would somebody mind taking them minutes?
Well, we'll probably mind, but we'll make sure we do it.
Do you
I
know,
have fire.
can somebody else set up the recording?
I'll get it.
And then-
Yeah, I'll get it going and then you guys can just, you guys know how to run a Zoom, you can just
Yeah.
press start, right?
Right, yeah, we could do
And then
that.
I can, it won't be streamed, but I can put it on the website when I get back. So it'll be a record of it, it won't be
I
live.
can Firefly the meeting and it'll do the transcription thing, and then that way you could just do.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah,
Yeah, and what it does, it has all the audio and then it has the transcript and then you can punch on the transcript and hear
So
the
that
audio.
causes texting, like just.
It's amazing, it's amazing.
Wow,
yeah.
that's pretty cool.
It recaps all the videos for me. So I'll Firefly it,
oh, thank you.
okay?
Okay, 3 o'clock.
On 21st.
21st.
which is a Wednesday, yeah?
Yes.
So I need to try to.
So I move to adjourn.
I'll second it.
Thank you so much.
And it is.
Forward, back.
All those in favor? Adjourn. Thank you, Terry.
Okay.